All right, next up, please welcome Aircall, and presenting is Olivier Pailhès.
Yeah, kind of. Hi.
Take it away.
Okay, slide, okay. Hello everyone, this is Jonathan. I'm Oliver and I'm the co-founder and CEO of Aircall. So what is Aircall? Aircall is a radically new way for businesses to handle phone calls. And anyone in this room that has set up a new office and tried to get the telephony up and running know the pain it is. Oops. So first, it's complicated. You have to plan in advance, you have to wait for the hardware, set up the lines, have someone do that for you generally. And once you've done that, it's very rigid. So it's like an infrastructure that's here, and whatever can happen in the company, it will not adapt. And third, it is bloody expensive. So you're going to pay for setup costs, you're going to pay for monthly costs, you're going to pay any time you want to change something. So this is what we're changing, and we're bringing telephony on demand for businesses. So over the last few months, we had more than 1,000 teams joining on Aircall over a few months. And using us, they made 1 million calls with us. I'd like to give you one use case. Oops. Sorry. So one of these customers, whoops, sorry for this. One of these customers is the largest on-demand driver service in the world. You probably know it and you probably use it. And this company is growing really fast. Every week they're opening new cities or new services. And exactly 2 weeks ago, they were about to launch a new service in South America. And luckily they knew about Aircall. So on a Wednesday night at 9 p.m., they signed up on Aircall, got the numbers they needed, invited a team of 25 people, and on the very next day, starting at 6 a.m., they made thousands of calls using Aircall and using only the computers, the smartphones of the people, and the Aircall app. So this is what we're about. We're making a software that's totally hardware-free because we all have a smartphone, we all have a computer, that's instant to set up and scale, that's built for teamwork, because we feel companies need to collaborate on call. You need to share the information with your team or with other softwares that you're using. And finally, Aircall is borderless, because there's no reason that being in San Francisco, you could not start doing business in Australia or in the UK right now. And we're doing that with this beautiful app. Simple app running on Mac, PC, Chrome, and I'd like to make you a demo now. If you can switch to the demo. Right, so here I'm connecting on Aircall. That's my account. On the left, I see all the numbers I need for my business. And on the right, I see my whole team, and I can very easily link the two and change that at any moment. Now let's get back to my example, and let's assume I want to launch tomorrow a service, let's say a food delivery service in New York. I'm going to go here and add a new number. And I'm going to call it, let's say, Eats New York City, to say something. And here, I'm going to be able to pick up in a list of 35 countries when I'm going to get a local number instantly. So let's pick the US. That's an easy one. Pick a local number, and then we look up. Let's try to get a 646 or something. Now, what happens now is that Aircall is looking with operators all over the world to find a number that can be provisioned instantly. And now we're creating this number, and when it will appear on the screen, it will be immediately active. So it is 646-396-5216. Can someone call this number, please? So we're able right now to make and receive calls. So first call, thanks, whoever that is. So it's actually ringing on my app and on my mobile, right? So let's decline this call for now. So as a user, I can choose on what devices I want to get the calls, and I can change that any time. I can say I want my computer, my tablet, or my iPhone. Now, I want to put myself unavailable here for the rest of the pitch. Let's go unavailable. That means I won't be disturbed on any of my device by any business call starting from now. Now, the point is I still have people calling to get their food, right? So let's go to teammates and add my team. So I go plus. I'm going to add Jonathan here. I'm going to add Kevin. And I'm going to add, let's say, Tanya. And we're set. We're a team of 4, and we're doing business now with this food delivery service. Put Tanya second, maybe. Right. So I can very easily add, remove, or change the order. Now, the whole team will collaborate on call, and we'll see on his Aircall app what's going on. We'll see the calls, and I can comment a call, assign it to someone, or archive it. Let's archive this call. We can archive it when it's done, when it's treated. So that is Aircall. Let's come back to the presentation, please. So, how do we price this product? Whoops. Very simple pricing, as simple as a product. Per user per month, depending on how far you want to integrate that with your workflows. And we do integrate with a bunch of softwares, and we're adding more every week. Slack, HubSpot, Salesforce, Zendesk. One each week we're adding. Now, as I said, over the last 2 months, more than 1,000 teams joined us, and they joined us using Aircall on desktops. Whoops. These apps you've seen. Now, we're really excited to announce today that for the first time, we're making Aircall available on iOS. It's available on the App Store, and it brings Aircall into your pocket, in your iPhone. You can make, receive, follow up on your professional calls with your team wherever you are. So if you want to get started, go on aircall.io, create your account. In a few minutes, get the numbers you need to do business, invite your team, and get ready. Or if you have any question, and the team will kill me for doing this, but you can call us anytime at this number. We're here 24/7 for you. Thank you very much.
All right. Great job.
Well, so I think this is awesome. I think it's obviously the way that calling's going. So I think that's great. Competition is brutal. So Clementine got bought by Twitter, I think. There's Switch. There's others. Can you talk about how you think about competition?
Yeah. So the first thing about competition, and we see that looking at the customers we're getting, right? So we get a lot of customers for traditional telcos, right? So Switch or whoever still have a very marginal part of the market. So we've got a big opportunity here. Second thing is, most of the systems are thought as telecom systems. We've designed that as a software. Sure. So typically, they will still rely on the principle that you need a phone line that is for one person. We break that out. Say numbers, team, and just flow that. And then the last argument is typically we connect much more. So you will not be able with Switch or Grasshopper to connect to Slack, to Zendesk, to Pipedrive, to Salesforce as far as we do.
Okay.
On the cost, what's your margin? $10, I said 10, 20, 40? Yeah. What's your margin on this?
Okay. So,
and are you, I'm assuming you're using Twilio on the back end?
Yeah, so we're using, actually, we chose not to build our own stack. We felt we better focus on making this great software. Sure. So we're using various providers for reliability, for redundancy. It could be Twilio or competitors of Twilio, right? Now, the margin we have today is 55%, right? Essentially because, I mean, when a call comes in, the vast majority of calls are taken on the app in VoIP, so that's fine. And then we charge per number, etc. And that's now, and as we grow the business, the target is 80%.
Do you plan to keep using Twilio, or eventually you will build your own SIP stack, to regain margin?
Well, I think it's going to be pretty much a cost decision. So ultimately, we'll probably get there. Now, it is not on our agenda for the next year or so. Sure. But ultimately, it probably makes sense when we have millions of customers.
Can you talk a little bit about your sweet spot customer? Now, you can imagine there's e-commerce companies where people have more considered purchases around the products that are being bought on site. You might want to make a phone call internationally, or you might have a SaaS-driven company. Who are you finding is responding most readily to what you're offering in the customer diligence you've done so far?
Okay, so there's several answers to that. I mean, thinking per vertical is not the best answer. The best answer is, the fast-moving companies are our best spot. So companies that changes fast, that expands fast, that has fast-moving teams, people coming in, coming out, changing offices, that's our best spot because they want something that's extremely flexible. That's the Uber example, right? An e-commerce could go there. Where it makes a lot of sense for an e-commerce is that it's very important for them to scale up rapidly. They will typically go in various countries, scale up the team, so that makes sense. But the sweet spot is really about this. What we don't have as customers is typically a company where people come in the office, at the same office every day, and do the same job, and it's the same people for 20 years. You see what I mean?
How are you guys getting distribution? Are you inserting little taglines at the end of messages or anything like that to try to spread viral?
For distribution, well, we have essentially two major channels right now, and I can say we've got 400 paying customers right now, right?
400?
Yeah, 400, which is a few thousand teams because they have different teams in there. And typically two main channels. One is through the integrations we have. So when your features on Zendesk, on Pipedrive, or on the Slack featured integrations, then mechanically you get customers, right? So people typically install Zendesk, and they think, well, for phone calls, can I get something that's great? And they find Aircall, right? So that's the main channel that's really inbound. So we just made a deal with them, but that's a regular deal. Now, the second main channel that we're scaling now is outbound. So basically, I mean, we're typically a product that you choose to use at a moment, right? If you know, there is a moment where you look for a solution, and then it's too late or it's too early. So we're doing a lot of outbound sales, really like kind of more old style, depending on the triggers that we see at companies. So a company that gets funded is going to scale. And they're going to think, how can I scale as fast as possible? Company that expand internationally is going to scale. So we're having some triggers. Company that hires a customer support manager, for instance. And then we're shooting out by email and following up even cold calling, even like, you know, old style, low tech.
Can you give us a sense of the volume of calls you guys are getting? Because if you have 400 paying customers, it means that you guys must have scale already in terms of daily calls.
Well, we've made, since we started, we made 1 million calls, actually close to 1 million calls. I'd love to announce that today, but it's not exactly today, it's in a few days. 1 million calls, and we're making something, depending on the days, between 10 and 20,000 calls a day.
How many new customers are coming in on a daily basis, and have you figured out your customer acquisition cost as early as it is?
Yeah, along what I said. So we've got quite a steady flow of customers. We're like growing 35-40% a month. And typically they come 40% from the integrations at no cost, and 40% from outbound sales, which has a cost which is around $500 per customer.
All right.
But it's typically larger customers because we're going to go to Postmates or, you know, larger, more interesting companies.
So
So
we're very quickly.
Sorry,
No, go ahead.
I was just. Is it fair to say that your business is kind of tied to the success of the on-demand economy? Because those are the types of customers that are best suited, or are there?
Three-sentence answer.
Yeah. No, not only. I think it participates of the same logic of having companies that are much more flexible and agile. But typically, we have a lot of e-commerce companies that are not on demand. And we've got a big market here.
All right, good job. All right, that was Aircall. Thank you guys
Thank you
very
very
much.
Thank you, guys.